Alrighty, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining us virtually here. My name is Jose Calderon. I'm the band and orchestra director at Roosevelt. And first, I want to again thank you for your flexibility. Originally, this was supposed to be an in-person event, but with some last-minute, circumstances, we're having to do it over video. So we hope you can still enjoy this, via the internet. And if you have any questions throughout this whole thing that we didn't answer at all towards the end, just let us know via email, okay? Let's get started. So, as I mentioned before, I am Jose Calderon. I'm the band and orchestra director at Roosevelt, and I'm in charge of just teaching all 6th through 8th grade band and orchestra. I help out with sometimes with the show choir band, or combos, what we like to call them, and doing a bunch of other things such as like honor festivals and other activities as such that we can talk about in a second here. I'm going to pass this off to Miss White to introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Mrs. White. You can see me on the list there on the slide for the RCCBA music staff. I teach choir, and then extracurriculars are show choir and musical theater when we do a musical production throughout the year. Hope to meet you next year. As you can see on this slide, we highly encourage you to be in more than one music class if you would like. You can see it's possible you could be in band and choir or orchestra and choir. We absolutely love that. Musicians playing an instrument are often our best singers, so we highly encourage that. But it's also possible you could just be in choir. I would love that too.
So, now going on to our kind of music courses and offerings at a glance here. We'll talk more in detail as the presentation goes. Firstly, band here. The classes we offer during the day is, start most importantly, a 6th grade band class. Students here in the Cedar Rapids Community School District start in 6th grade. So students entering Roosevelt for the first time ever and are in band are going to be all together in their 6th grade class. So they could, build up their skills, learn everything. Lots of times students are learning for the first time ever. So kind of throwing them in there with other kids who are more experienced and have already done this for a long time now, kind of not a good idea. So we like to put them in their own classes so that they can all learn together at their same level. For our junior concert bands, this is 7th and 8th grade, we are trying a new idea where we're having our 7th and 8th grades be mixed together. And so there'll be 2 separate groups here of equal ability. There won't be any kind of Vedek bands or anything like that. I have my own little ideas for that. Those 2 classes will be a mix of 7th and 8th graders. And so we're trying this new model where we have our 8th grade kind of mentor 7th graders, and kind of, vice versa. Keep that kind of like mentorship going as the years progress on. Students who were mentored in 7th grade now get to mentor their younger peers when they're in 8th grade next year. And it's a new idea that I've tried thinking about to help kind of students learn a little bit faster, more easier, build stronger connections with each other, give those 8th graders better leadership opportunities. Some extracurriculars we can do are show choir combo. This is when we play and back up the show choir whenever we're at competitions and such. We play their music with them, and it's very awesome and exciting. Honor band festivals. Those are when when students can apply to be nominated to go to, for example, the Co-College Honor Band Festival, where a bunch of students from across the regional area can apply, and if they're accepted, they get to play some more difficult music based on like if they have a famous conductor or composer that year, and play that kind of music there, and it's usually like a all day Saturday kind of thing. So it's a really big fun experience for a lot of students. Solo Ensemble Festival is really fun, where students can either decide to do a solo. This could be their first opportunity to do solo ever in middle school on their instrument, or play some duet music with some others, maybe a trio, maybe even maybe a group of 6 people. Who knows? It all depends on like who wants to play with each other, and it's a very fun and awesome experience that we do every spring. For choir, Miss White will talk more about that in a second here. We have our 6th, 7th, 8th grade choir classes. The extracurriculars she offers is show choir by audition, the spring musical also by audition, and the honor choir festivals where students can also try out to get into those. Orchestra, same thing as kind of like band here. We have our sixth grade string orchestra class where a bunch of students are learning to play their instruments for the first time ever, learn to play and perform their music and such. Oopsie, my bad. That was a mistake. For our junior string classes, same kind of situation that I'm trying out for the first time with our junior classes. For our junior band classes, seventh and eighth grade, kind of trying out that idea. With our seventh and eighth grade numbers together, we end up actually creating a pretty nice and large orchestra so that we can play some very cool music and not have to worry about, if there's a spot where like, oh, we have so little players there, we have so little players there. This way, like, we can make sure that everyone like can have an awesome, great like section experience in a large orchestra. Because honestly, those are when they're the most fun. We also have other activities such as after school strings. That's a new program we just started this year where we bring in professionals and teachers from the Orchestra Iowa School who also perform in the Orchestra Iowa like actual orchestra itself. You've probably seen maybe some of their pops concerts and stuff. They performed Harry Potter earlier this year. It's really awesome. They come here and for free actually teach classes twice a week here after school, and a lot of students learn so much from that. There's also honor orchestra festivals, same kind of situation as band, and solo and small ensemble festivals.
Let's talk about all things singing and choir. That's what the next slide is going to tell you about. So here we go with choir. Yes, indeed, it is a class during the school day. There is sixth grade choir. I would love for you to join. Remember, you could be a person who likes music and maybe think you want to sing a little bit. Good place for you. Sign up. You don't want to play an instrument, but you want to try a music class and you want to be in, you need to be in a music class, then choir's the place for you. Give it a shot. Most people can sing. I'm there to teach you how, and you're going to be much more comfortable that you get to sing in a group. You don't have to sing by yourself. You don't have to sing solo. I can teach you to be more comfortable with your own voice and with singing with a bunch of people and with being on stage or in front of people. We do a couple of concerts a year. We do all kinds of music. You're the other kind of person that might sign up for choir class is one of you who might be there that you love to sing. Maybe you saw us sing at your grade school and you said, I want to do that. Maybe you thought, I want to do show choir. Choir is a great class for you to take because I introduce you to all the things, how to audition for things, how to do solos, how to sing in a group. We learn all kinds of things in choir class. And so I highly encourage you to sign up for it. And then we'll start singing together, and then you'll get lots of experiences. And none, I promise, that will freak you out. We'll have a great time together and making lots of good music. It does lead to things if you like to sing and you know you want to. We do have solo opportunities at our performances. And again, I can help you to get ready to audition for show choir if that's an interest for you. Or we do an all school musical. This year it was High School Musical. Maybe you came to see it. I hope you did. But that's a great chance to be on stage and have fun with singing as well. And I get you ready for all those things. And maybe you find out you just like singing in a group and that's it. Wonderful. I'd love to have you there too, because we do things like we sing the national anthem at sports events or other events that require having the national anthem at the beginning. We've sung at a Cardinals game before. Cardinals, sorry. I'm from St. Louis. Colonels, Cedar Rapids Colonels game. And we also sang it at a big wrestling match for Jefferson High School this year. So we've got lots of chances to sing and have opportunities and really just to get your feet wet singing. I hope you'll join us. Sign up for sixth grade choir. Would love to meet you and see you there. Thanks so much. My name's Mrs. White. New Generation, that's our show choir at RCCBA. We hope that there are many of you who are interested in performing with us. We performed at your schools. If you were at one of our feeder elementaries, we got to come and sing for you. We've been doing a great job last year and this year. We adopted the new name, new generation that we hope will last for a while and become a tradition at RCCBA. If you love to sing, you love to dance, you love to shine in a costume, then show choir is the place for you. Right at the beginning of the school year, I'll be announcing auditions and how to audition. And if you're in choir, that's helpful, because if you're in choir class, I can help you with how to be ready to audition for our group. It's been a really wonderful group. We've had a great time. We become family. We go to competitions. And this year we moved up even another notch from last year that we were fourth place at Jefferson High School. That's pretty great because we used to be last place before I got there. So fourth place was a really great place to be. And we hope to continue growing and getting stronger. And most important, we just love the music we do. We have a really good time together. Yes, is it great to get awards? Yes. But mostly we just have a great time putting on a great show with a good theme. And this last year it was really great when it was True Colors, about being yourself. So I hope that you're interested and that at the beginning of the school year, you'll listen for announcements about how to be involved in show choir. Last but not least, involving singing, we do an all school musical at RCCBA. This year, it was High School Musical. That's what you see the pictures of on the side there. They did a great job. And last year, my first year at RCCBA, we did Beauty and the Beast and had really great costumes for all of the items in the house in Beauty and the Beast and in the castle. We've done a great job. We've had kids from everything, that kids that were in choir, that were in band, orchestra, and even you can see we had some basketball players there that joined us and had a great time with High School Musical. It's a great chance to be a character, be on stage, wear a costume, be a part of a story. For Beauty and the Beast, of course, it was a really fun but also cool story about love, overcoming things. You know the story of Beauty and the Beast. And then this year was just a really fun time with High School Musical. That it's a little bit of a love story, but also just some good times with the different cliques that happen in high school. So it's a great experience. You can also be involved in the musical with like tech crew, with doing the stage and helping to build the stage and doing sound and lights. So there's lots of opportunities there. But know that most of the kids that you see in there are involved in our music programs and are the ones who try out and get main parts in the show. But if you like just being in the background and being, say, in the chorus in the background, we love that too. So we hope that you will be interested in being part of the spring musical at RCCBA. Lots to do there. There's good sports and all kinds of activities, but know that we've got a great music department, and now we're studying some theater things as well. So we hope that you'll join us with the musical at RCCBA.
Now, let's talk about the instruments in the band and orchestra. I could go super mega in depth about all the instruments and such, but to make sure that you're not sitting and watching like a 1 hour video and such, I'm just going to go briefly through some of these here. Your students will actually get a chance to try out instruments because in this week and next week, I will be working with and actually maybe the next 3 weeks before school ends, essentially. Me and a team of my students that I, handpicked because, I want to make sure that they're great kids, are going to go and visit the elementaries to have a little session where we get to have all of the fifth graders, regardless of what school they're going to, try out any of the instruments that we bring. We're going to be bringing quite a few so that, that's why we have our team. And so that students can get that chance. So more information will be coming soon on that. Your child will probably actually come home with something being like, hey, I tried an instrument, now I really like this one. So that will help you kind of make a decision on your instruments and such. All right, so the band instruments. There's quite a few here, so I'm not going to spend too long talking about each individual one. But the instruments in the band that students can sign up to learn are flute, oboe, bassoon, clarinet, saxophone, trumpet, French horn, trombone, baritone, tuba, and percussion. There are limited spots in each section, especially for percussion, because We need to make sure every instrument's present to perform the kind of music we want, and to have an overall great, like, solid band experience. I'll explain a little bit more further on that in a little bit. I'm going to show you here
Hi, I'm
some of the instruments that you can listen to and see here.
Staff Sergeant Pam Daniels, and this is a flute. The flute in a band, flutes often sit in the front and get to play many different styles of music, from beautiful, slow, lyrical melodies like you just heard to fast, technical
Which one I love.
showpieces like this.
Very awesome, very great. Then here's the oboe here. I'm going to go briefly through.
Carries over the ensemble.
Oboe. This is now the clarinet.
The clarinet is no.
I also mentioned, I think I went a little out of order when I made that list, but bassoon will be on here in a second. Here is saxophone. Here is the bassoon.
Relatively low and fairly high.
Hello, I am.
Let me just skip that far ahead.
The bassoon, much like the or more serious things.
Now here's the trumpet. Here is the French horn.
Sure.
I gotta skip a little ahead.
Warm, rich.
Here is the trombone, a very famous, popular one.
Demonstrates the slide very well.
Then here is what we call the baritone. It's just easier for kids to say, but also formerly known as the euphonium. Sounds a lot like a trombone.
The euphonium can play lovely lyrical music. Blazing fingers to play fast, virtuosic music.
And then one of my favorites, the tuba.
The tuba has a lot of tubing. Stretched out, the tuba would be as long as a school bus. The tuba's length gives it its low pitch, making it one of the lowest voices in the entire band. It establishes the foundation.
And then here is percussion.
Of membrane.
Percussion plays a lot of different instruments, but two of the main ones are usually snare drum or bells or mallets, as we like to call them.
Anaphone, meaning along the bottom head to create.
Very awesome. Now, next part here.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant
Ooh,
Pam
let me
Daniels,
pause
and
this. I'll unfix this. All right, now to move on to the orchestra instruments. This one will be a lot less instruments now because the main four instruments in orchestra are the violin, the lesser known but still just as awesome viola, the cello, and the bass, the string bass to be precise. Here in this video here, they're going to show you each section playing, some kind of challenging piece of music here. I'm going to go through it with you here. There is
going from the
a introduction, so I'm gonna skip that through so you can see the good stuff. This is first the violins. Very awesome, very great. Now here are the violas. They are close to what the violin plays, or what the violin sounds like, but they play much more mellower and much more lower. They have an extra string, or they have a separate string that is different from violin. And personally, I love it a lot. A lot of students love playing it. They love playing their low string notes, and it's very, very beautiful. Kind of like if you wish you can play cello and violin at the same time, this is like a perfect one. Very beautiful. Here now will be the cellos.
The cellos.
Very beautiful. The cello section, I love it. It's my favorite orchestra instrument to play on. And then the string basses, the lowest, actually, I take it back. String bass is actually my favorite one to play because that one, I love how loud and low it is. It's very, very awesome to play. Those instruments are pretty big too. And so you kind of feel like a powerful giant.
The double basses.
Please. Yeah, string basses. So now let's move on to our next slide. So now to move on to our next couple of slides here. First thing is instrumentation and making sure we have a balanced group. So right now here I have in the title here, why can't we have 30 saxophones or 2 trumpets in our band and everything like that? Because in order to give like a true experience of like what it feels like to be in an orchestra and a band, as you probably saw from like that orchestra video, we have to have like a nice balanced group of each instrument. And some of the larger instruments tend to be smaller just because those are naturally louder, versus smaller instruments sometimes tend to be a little bit more quiet, or they have multiple parts, or we just in general need more of them because of how the music's written for band and orchestra. And so in an ideal world, everyone would get their first choice, but sometimes we do have to go with their second choice. And I will say about 90% of the time kids get their first choice. It all the wonders. I always tell kids, like, just try and be, explorative. Like, I'm sure most kids don't really, it doesn't matter too much to them what instrument they play. They just want to learn how to play an instrument, and that's great. And some kids are like, no, I really, really know that I really want to do that one. And that's just fine too. So we always ask students to pick their first choice and their second choice and make sure that they're different, because I really want to make sure that you are happy with what you get. Official like assignments of who's going to play what will be announced by me via email when I get a chance to go through all those registrations. They're going to be trickling in and eventually, and I'll make sure to actually let you know. I'll email you all to let you know what you got. So, yes, students who want put percussion as their first choice, you should really make sure that you're ready to select a second favorite instrument. I'll be kind of going through it and seeing as like, oh, this student, like their first choice is this, and then the second's percussion. Great. Maybe they should just try that first one first. If a student, oh, there's a lot of students with their first choice of percussion. I'm just gonna go on a first case basis. Who came first? Who registered first for it? I'm just gonna go on there with that. Then an example here, if you look on the screen, example of like what an appropriately balanced group would be from between 40 to 60 students. That's typically where we fall beyond where we fall into and such. 6 to 10 flutes, 1 to 3 oboes, 2 to 4 bassoons. Typically for oboe and bassoon, because they're a little bit more expensive to play, and I can give you more information about that if your student's really interested about it. I can explain that, but usually we have less of those for that reason. Clarinets, we always need a lot of them. Saxophones, we love saxophones. Trumpets and trombones, definitely primary instruments we need. Baritones are pretty loud. That's the euphonium, the little smaller looking tuba that you saw earlier. They're pretty loud and pretty nice and powerful, so we don't need too many of those. Tubas are definitely nice and powerful because they're big, so we don't need too much. Percussion, usually percussion, this is the special thing about percussion, is that typically they all play their own separate parts. Someone's playing the snare drum, someone's playing the bass drum, someone plays timpani, someone plays the bells, someone plays something else there. And so everyone kind of has their own part, and it almost feels like they're all soloing. So those students who are like, oh, I'm too scared to do anything on my own, I'd rather do something where I can play the same as somebody else and kind of like be a part of a group where we're all playing the same thing together. I'm more into that. Probably percussion might not be the best fit for you then, if you're a little too scared for that. If you're like, oh no, I'm super confident, I love doing stuff on my own, I love being independent, then awesome, great, this would be great for you. For orchestra, we always need a lot of violins, because violins usually split into two parts, violin 1 and 2. And so we always need plenty of those instruments to fill up those parts. For violas, because they're typically a little bit bigger, typically a little bit bigger and a little bit thicker than violins. They're a little bit louder, so we don't need as many parts, but we still love, we don't need many of those players, but we still love and want many of those players. Orchestras really, really sound good when they have a good balanced viola section. It just sounds so great. It fills in that middle that like everyone needs. Cellos, we always want more of them. I love cellos. I'm just gonna say I love cellos with all my heart. With basses, because they're so much bigger and produce a lot more sound more easily, we don't usually need too many of those, but I always like to have more than one if possible. So now to go on to the next couple slides here. So items needed for band and orchestra. I just realized that little A there's blends to the background. Oh well. You mainly just need your musical instrument. The beginner book. This one's for band. This one's for orchestra. Here they're different. And a folding music stand for practicing at home, so that your kid doesn't have to like prop up their music to something and kind of slouch over and kind of be in pain like that. I'll give you more in detail information on that, or I can just give you kind of like a little guide via email when we get those registrations in. There are 2 stores mainly located in Cedar Rapids that you can go in person and get actual like in-person help with, which is always great for those of you who are like, oh, I don't trust the internet, I don't really know what I'm doing. These 2 stores, West Music and Schultz Strings, amazing places to get your instrument. They're always high quality. It's just the safest bet in my opinion. And speaking of getting instruments and starting and learning them and such, band and orchestra beginner summer lessons. More information will be coming soon, because this year is kind of they're doing it a different system this time around, and so some of this information might be a little bit different, but more information will be coming soon on that, so that if you kind of want to get a head start on that, that'd be awesome and great. I always encourage as many students as possible to do it, so that we can start off the school year strong. We kind of tend to get a lot of students who don't ever sign up for summer lessons, and when they get here, they're like, everyone else knows how to play their instruments and put it together, and I don't. Oh my gosh, what do I do? That's why we have the summer lessons. And if anything, I would like for everyone to just automatically try and just sign up right away for it. Honestly, I think it's a great idea for everyone, so that we don't start the school year trying to trying to get 40 kids in one room to be quiet enough to actually assemble their instruments. So, in my opinion, I would love to make this required, but I know things happen and I know people are on vacations. So, if you can, great. If you can't, we can just try and work it out later. Now, how should I purchase an instrument? More information to guide you through this will be emailed to you, but just to go over in general, the safest option and the best case scenario, in my opinion, would be a music store, just like West Music or Schultz Strings. But you can also rent from the school. We have school rentals here. They're limited in quantity just because, we're, we're not a music store, but most instruments, especially the larger ones, can be rented directly from Roosevelt, since those larger instruments are usually too expensive to actually buy. And the rental fees are between $25 to $75 per year. It depends on the financial status. If you are someone who's like, oh, I'm perfectly fine, it defaults to 75. But if you're a family who is in free and reduced lunch, it can drop down to either 50 or all the way down to possibly 25 for the whole, just one payment for the whole school year. So that's great. And then purchasing used online or locally, the cheapest option, but not the most reliable, because, it depends. I'm sure that if you're like, oh, I bought something online before and it came to me and it was actually not that great, that's the kind of risk you have to take if you're trying to get that nice, not that nice deal. Sometimes you might come across something that's like, oh, this is completely brand new and nice and super high quality brand, and it's only barely used a little bit, and I got it for such a steal. Awesome. But those aren't very common and kind of hard to get. So I just want to make sure that's clear there. Now, some common questions here. Miss White will take over after this slide here. So common questions are like, oh, well, we have this old family instrument that we have, I'll tell you here, what about Uncle Steve's old clarinet? So to put it short, it's a gamble between acceptable to suitable, because I've had situations where kids are like, oh, I have my family's instrument, and they bring it, and it's completely unusable. I can't even get it to work anymore. It's not working. And then I'm like, okay, try and send it to a shop to see if it can get fixed up, see if that works. They send it to a shop and it costs way too much to actually fix it. It almost costs as much money as it is to actually buy it. So that's kind of like, I would rather make sure that you got something that's confirmed good and great. If you're ever unsure, you can always take it to West Music or Schultz Strings and be like, hey, is this a good enough condition to actually have my student play? They can easily tell you there. And if there's anything small, like, oh, we just need to replace this small little part here or this little screw here, and they can give you kind of any estimate for that to make it really easy for you. Now, what about the $68 violin or clarinet that I found, or flute, or any of those instruments that I found on Amazon? Avoid these at all costs. I'll be completely honest. If I was in front of you right now, I would show you one that a student showed me once and was like, hey, is this good? Please don't get these instruments. They are very, very poor quality, and most of the time they will not work. Especially when I have the string instruments like violins or cellos or anything like that, they're so hard to play that it's like you genuinely start feeling like maybe it's a you issue when in reality it's an instrument issue. And I'd rather not you waste that money there, because nobody wants to go through that process of returning something, and it takes forever to credit back to yourself. Or in general, it becomes or it immediately breaks because of how cheap it is. And so then now you just basically just wasted that money. So I strongly advise against getting these very, very cheap, low budget, basically mass produced instruments from Amazon or anything like that. If you're ever unsure, just email me first, and I can tell you if it's maybe a good risk or a horrible risk to take. So yeah, let's see here. Okay, Miss White is going to take over now from here.
So, among all the fantastic reasons that you want to sign up for music, is it fun? Yes. Do you make friends? Yes. Do you learn a cool instrument or learn how to sing better? Absolutely. But here's one of the best things of all. I have so many past students, I've taught for a lot of years, that can tell you that music taught them how to present themselves, made them better at school, that they could focus better because music does really great things for your brain. And then in the end, it helps you with your scores and what things you do academically, but also socially. Not only do you make the friends that you make, but you learn how to present yourself better for things like interviews or getting a scholarship or just presenting yourselves to get a job. These are great things that you learn by becoming more comfortable with playing an instrument or with singing and with being on stage. So parents, hear us out. Music is a great place to be. Some of the most successful people you will ever see in life on TV, newscasters, and all of those people that are on TV and that are the heads and CEOs of companies, almost always when people interview them, when they did activities in high school, music was a part of it, even amongst our presidents. So please know that music is a great opportunity just to open yourselves up, to get a little more comfortable with people and how you present yourself, and have a great time and great experiences while you're in school. So music activities, yeah, they take time, but we can work around a lot of things. First, on the frequently asked questions, can I be in band and choir or orchestra and choir? Absolutely. And oftentimes the things we do that we're involved in and the performances we have are around the same time. So that's nice. Yes, you can be in both. We would love it if you're in both. Can you be in show choir, musical, sports? Absolutely. I have had, I would say, out of the 50 show choir kids, I would say at least 20 of them were involved in sports after school or a sport at one point. Show choir spans over, I think, 3 different sports seasons, but it is really possible for you to do both. Now, that won't affect you your 6th grade year. 6th grade, you don't get to do the sports at school, but often kids I know play sports and have something, and I ask about conflicts for show choir and the musical so that I don't run into your other activities that you might have like that. But we do try and schedule around things so that you can be as involved as possible. And again, often our music things are at the same time. So that's cool. It's more about the sports versus music and those things. We also have other clubs at school too, like a Lego club and diversity and inclusion group. We work around those as well. They have meetings after school, and often I make sure to schedule our show choir and musical rehearsals around those things as well. And we share you really well, and it's possible, and you won't be too crazy or too frantic. Just have a calendar, and we teach you about that too, and that'll help you to schedule things. And then, can you be in multiple musical extracurricular groups? Absolutely. Again, I think we kind of covered that all, but just know that you just need to talk to us. Mr. Calderon and I are really great about talking to each other. We're great about sharing kids. And in fact, like I've said about 20 times, I think in videos already, some of our best kids are the ones who do both. And then I think the last one is more of a Mr. C question, Mr. Calderon for band. I think they can work around your orthodontics for instruments. So my guess would be, knowing strings, that doesn't affect a strings player. Like for orchestra, has more to do with if you play trumpet or clarinet or something like that. But Mr. Calderon will definitely help you figure that out.
And finally, we almost forgot to film this last little slide here. If you have any questions that weren't answered at all throughout this whole presentation here, you can feel free to email us at either my email for any band and orchestra activity questions, or Miss White for any choir activity questions at all. We are always looking at your email all the time. Sometimes we get a little bit busy, so if we take a little bit of a long time getting back to you, please have patience with us. If it takes a little longer than like what an expected amount of time would be, feel free to annoy us as much as you want. We should be getting back to you, honestly. So don't worry about being annoying. We really want you guys to sign up and be with us next school year with us. So thank you very much. And once again, thank you so much for being flexible for this being online kind of last minute versus in person. So thank you very much, everybody. Bye. Good night.